In the last episode of this series, we discussed the first industry push for a large cruise ship, resulting in Royal Caribbean building Sovereign of the Seas. Sovereign was huge, but things were about to get bigger. She had surpassed her competition, Norwegian Cruise Line's SS Norway, who would later fight back, but Princess and Carnival wanted to respond with their own mega cruise ships. Sovereign outsized her competitors, but in the 1990s, Carnival had their own goal, to build larger than 100,000 gross tons, and also break another size record that Sovereign of the Seas had failed to. Sovereign may have been the largest sailing passenger ship when she came out, but she wasn't the largest passenger ship to ever set sail. She wasn't even the largest in the world when she came out. This is the story of the quest to build the largest passenger ship to ever sail, and the push to surpass 100,000 gross tons. During the first 2 years of service, Sovereign of the Seas was unchallenged in size. There weren't any new cruise ships on the order books that were larger than her. Meanwhile, Norwegian Cruise Line had plans of their own, and once again involved SS Norway. In 1990, they would add 2 decks to her superstructure, giving her 135 more cabins. Now at over 76,000 gross tons, she surpassed Sovereign of the Seas as the largest sailing passenger ship. SS Norway had successfully fought back. After her reign of 1,049 days as the largest, Sovereign of the Seas would not get the title back. Our story now takes us to Princess Cruises. At this time, they were owned by shipping company P&O. By the end of 1990, they had 9 ships in service, more than Royal Caribbean. If they wanted to build bigger than Sovereign, surely they could. Well, the amount of ships in their fleet was misleading. By the end of 1993, of the 15 former and current ships in their fleet, only 1 was ordered by Princess. The rest were ships from other cruise lines. Princess needed this ship, not only to get the record, but it would also establish themselves as ship builders rather than ship buyers. Let's take a look at the one purpose-built Princess ship up until this point. Royal Princess underwent her maiden voyage in 1984. She had a maximum capacity of 1,260 people, and a gross tonnage of around 44,000, roughly 58% the size of the revamped SS Norway. It looks like Princess has a long way to go. Looking at the ships they operated, however, things look a bit more promising. Their biggest was a ship originally built for Sintmar Cruises that was completed for Princess and named Regal Princess. So, Princess Cruises wants to build a ship, and it's going to be a big one. Can they rely on size alone to boost their revenue, or are they going to need to do something else special? The unprecedented size worked for Sovereign of the Seas, but Princess wants more. They plan for this megaship to have more balconies than any other vessel, coming in at around 400, a dramatic increase from Sovereign's 0 balcony staterooms. The planned ship will be 261 meters long, shorter than Sovereign. However, she would be 5 centimeters or 2 inches wider. Despite being shorter and not that much wider, the planned Princess Cruises ship would have a volume of 77,441 gross tons, 5.81% larger than Sovereign of the Seas. After designing the megaship, the next stage is to get it built. Princess chose Italian shipbuilder Fincantieri as their constructor. She would be built in Monfalcone, Italy, and had the yard number of 5909. But she needed a name. There are a few ways cruise lines can name their ships, but Princess already had an established naming convention. New ships were named a noun or adjective, and then the word Princess came after. For example, they had Golden Princess, Regal Princess, Crown Princess, and so on. Now they need a brand new name. Or do they? In the early 1970s, Norwegian Cruise Line ordered a ship they planned to name Seaward. The contract was cancelled, but the partially built ship was bought by P&O Cruises, who finished it and named her Spirit of London. After purchasing Princess Cruises, P&O transferred Spirit of London to Princess in 1974, who renamed the ship to Sun Princess. The ship was sold in 1988 to Premier Cruises and renamed to Majestic and then Starship Majestic. Maybe it was for nostalgia. Maybe it was for the warmth the name evoked. Maybe Princess just thought it was a good name. Princess Cruises decided they would name their new ship, and soon to be the world's largest, Sun Princess. In March of 1994, the keel was laid, a major construction milestone for a cruise ship. She was floated out for the first time in January 1995. Sun Princess was completed later that year and underwent her maiden voyage on December 2, 1995. Sun Princess became the lead ship of the new Sun class, helping Princess expand. She was larger than Sovereign of the Seas and larger than SS Norway. Princess had built the largest passenger ship ever. Or had they? When Sovereign embarked on her maiden voyage in 1988, she was the largest passenger ship in service. There was, however, a retired ocean liner that, while not sailing anymore, was still intact and larger. Docked in the port of Long Beach, California, was the great RMS Queen Mary. At the time of her release in 1936, she was the largest passenger liner in the world at 80,774 gross registered tons, but that was short-lived. The previous record holder, SS Normandy, took back the crown after a renovation increased her volume. In 1938, Queen Mary broke the record set by Normandy for the fastest passenger ship crossing of the Atlantic, one she held onto for nearly 14 years before losing it to the SS United States, whose record stands to this day. With the outbreak of World War II, she began to carry soldiers. At one point, she had over 16,000 people on board, the most ever on a vessel at one time. After the war, she returned to service, before her last voyage in 1967. She sailed from Southampton, UK, around the southern tip of South America, to Long Beach, California, a city next to Los Angeles. She was essentially converted into a historical hotel, and you can still board and stay overnight on the Queen Mary to this day. Let's pivot back to SS Normandy. She debuted in 1935 and was also larger than SS Norway. In December of 1941, plans to transfer her to the US Navy were approved, and she was renamed to USS Lafayette. In February of 1942, a spark from a welder caused a massive fire while she was docked. She began to list, and the thousands of tons of water sprayed to calm the fire created more of an imbalance. She fully capsized the next morning, giving the title of world's largest back to Queen Mary. A new ship that would be larger than SS Normandy was already planned and completed by the time of Normandy's destruction. Measured at 83,673 gross registered tons, RMS Queen Elizabeth was another troop-carrying vessel during World War II. After the war ended, she entered passenger service. Her service for Cunard ended in 1968, and she was sold twice afterwards. The ship caught on fire in 1972 and was unrepairable. The next largest passenger ship at the time was SS France. SS France inherited the title of largest passenger ship, later became SS Norway, later surpassed in size by Sovereign of the Seas, amplified to be larger, surpassed by Sun Princess, and the rest is history. From 1901 to 1940, the largest ship size increased by 400%, but growth ceased after RMS Queen Elizabeth. With new technology, and over 50 years having gone by, surely someone could build bigger, much bigger, and that someone was Carnival Cruise Line. By the end of 1995, Carnival had 10 ships in service, with 9 of them purpose-built for Carnival. Their largest were 5 ships in the Fantasy class, each around 70,367 gross tons. They were planning to not only build larger than Princess Cruises, not only to build larger than any passenger ship before, but also to reach a major milestone. Carnival was planning the first ship to reach 100,000 gross tons. Now, you may be apt to think 100,000 tons is heavy, and that's because it is, but gross tonnage is not a measure of weight, it is a measure of volume. And gross register tonnage, which was used to measure SS Norway and older ships, is a different measurement altogether. Let's begin with that. Gross register tonnage is a linear measure of the volume of a ship. Linear meaning the size of a register ton stays the same. A gross register ton is always equal to 100 cubic feet. Gross register tonnage is calculated by measuring the volume of the enclosed spaces on board a ship, with a few exceptions. Conversely, gross tonnage is a nonlinear measure of a ship's volume. Because it is exponential, the larger a ship gets, the faster the gross tonnage will increase. So, a 40,000 gross ton ship is not exactly double the size of a 20,000 gross ton ship. It is actually less. Gross tonnage includes more areas of the ship than gross register tonnage, so in general it will be a larger number. What's unfortunate about the two measurements is that because they measure different areas, from my understanding they cannot be converted to each other. So we can't know for sure the size difference between SS Norway and the supposedly larger ship Sun Princess. Sun Princess was shorter and narrower, so there is a possibility SS Norway was actually still larger in volume, but we will likely never know. So to summarize, gross tonnage and gross register tonnage do not measure weight, they measure volume, and gross tonnage is a different measurement than gross register tonnage. Building larger than 100,000 gross tons would be huge, and a significant jump in size. For the first time in this video series, a cruise line will attempt to build the largest passenger ship in history. Can Carnival actually do this? Well, if any cruise line could, Carnival would be right there with them. They have a decent sized fleet, a valuable brand, and have been around since the cruising boom of the 1970s. Carnival has big plans for their first venture into the Megaship world. 1,321 cabins would be built, with around 800 of them being either balconies or an outside view. At maximum capacity, the ship could hold 3,360 passengers. For entertainment, they would have a 3-deck auditorium seating 1,600 people, which would be the largest theater on board a ship. She would feature what Carnival called the Rotunda, a 9-deck tall atrium in the center with a skylight at the top. On both sides, the ship is lined by promenades. Due to the size and passenger count of the ship, they would need more of everything. ShipTechnology.com lays out the numbers for Carnival's planned ship. There would be 18 passenger elevators out of the 27 total. She would have 6 engines, together creating the 63,000 kilowatts of energy needed to power and propel the ship. Despite the fuel needed to power her, she could hold enough to last 17 days. There would be 3 thrusters in the front and 3 in the back. In 1994, Carnival ordered the ship. Just like Sun Princess, she would be built in Monfalcone, Italy by Fincantieri. Their budget was $409 million US. On January 30th, 1995, the keel was laid, symbolically beginning the assembly of the ship. Her yard number was assigned at 5941. At some point in the 3 months after, the name of the ship was revealed. The first passenger ship larger than 100,000 gross tons would be called Carnival Destiny. The president of Carnival Cruise Line was quoted in a Maritime Reporter magazine article. In it, he said, "You've heard of the Dream Team in basketball. Well, this is our dream ship, incorporating all the amenities and features for the ultimate vacation. It just turned out to be this big." Whether or not their goal was to build as large as they did, Carnival Destiny would be record-breaking. She was floated out for the first time on the 15th of November 1995, but would have to wait a year before entering service. Eventually, she was christened by Lynn Arison, wife to Carnival Cruise Line founder Ted Arison. On the 24th of November 1996, Carnival Destiny underwent her maiden voyage. According to an inspection done near the time of her release, she was measured at 101,353 gross tons. Carnival had broken the barrier, and for the first time in 50 years, we have a new world's largest ship. After 358 days as the largest passenger ship in service, Sun Princess continued to sail. In 1998, a reboot of the popular Love Boat television series was filmed on board, which lasted 2 seasons. In total, 4 ships in her class were produced: Sun Princess debuting in 1995, Dawn Princess debuting in 1997, Sea Princess debuting in 1998, and Ocean Princess debuting in 2000, all of which with similar but different fates currently in 2026. The former largest sailing passenger ship, Sun Princess, was sold in 2020 to Peace Boat and was renamed Pacific World. She is still sailing passengers to this day. Sun Princess did leave behind something for Princess Cruises: her name. In 2024, Princess Cruises released the first ship in their new Sphere class, named Sun Princess. While having over double the gross tonnage, she shared her name with two of the most influential ships in Princess's fleet. As for the other three, Dawn Princess was transferred in 2017 to P&O Australia, and then changed hands again in 2025 with Star Cruises. She now goes by the name Star Voyager. Sea Princess had an interesting service life. She left Princess for P&O in the early 2000s, came back to Princess in 2005, got sold in 2020, changed ownership again, and now sails under the name Dream. Ocean Princess changed ownership to Sea Jets and was renamed Queen of the Oceans. Her fate is uncertain, considering all cruise ships in Sea Jet's fleet are not sailing right now, and has been laid up since 2020, but she is still intact. As for the Carnival Destiny class of ships, 4 more were built: Carnival Triumph in 1999, Carnival Victory in 2000, Costa Fortuna for its sister brand Costa Cruises in 2003, and again for Costa's 2004 Costa Magica. Carnival Destiny is the oldest ship in the series that you can still sail on for the original cruise line it was built for, but she has been renamed. Following a major renovation in 2013, Carnival believed the refit was so extensive that the ship was worthy of a new name, now calling her Carnival Sunshine. Carnival Triumph, ship number 2 in the class, has been renamed as well, albeit for a much different reason. In 2013, a small fire on board caused her to lose electricity, and thus the toilets couldn't operate and the sewage backed up. It became a bit of a disaster, and 6 years later she was renamed Carnival Sunrise. Carnival Victory, the last Destiny or Sunshine class ship built for Carnival, was renamed Carnival Radiance after a major renovation in 2021. Costa Fortuna will be sold to Margaritaville at Sea and named Beachcomber later in 2026, leaving Costa without any ships in that class. Costa Magica left the cruise line in 2023 and changed hands several times, and it is now owned by Tianjin Cruise Line. Sun Princess and Carnival Destiny may not be as well known as Sovereign of the Seas or SS Norway, but they were monumental ships for their time. Sun Princess revived Princess Cruises, putting them back among the industry giants and paying tribute to an influential ship. Carnival Destiny pushed further than any other cruise line had dared to go. While not aiming for size, they expanded upon the idea of cruising and set the standard for what a cruise vessel should be. Her still being in service shows the longevity these megaships are beginning to have. A ship from the 90s is still able to satisfy passengers almost 30 years later. Just a year after Destiny's maiden voyage, Carnival is about to have some competition. 2 years before Destiny debuted, Princess placed an order for a new class of ship, one they planned to be larger than the Destiny class, and challenge the traditional look of a cruise ship. But they are not the only ones looking to build bigger. Royal Caribbean has been planning their own new class of ship, trying to see how big they can get. In the next episode, we will look at the uniquely designed Grand class of cruise ships from Princess and Royal Caribbean's Project Eagle. Thank you for watching. This was Embarkation Day, and I wish you smooth sailing.